Hi everyone. For last 1 year, I have been learning Go and Julia, and for last 2 3 months, I have also started learning Rust. So in that video, I'm going to discuss about how I get into these languages, and also do some feature comparison. But that video, I'm not going to show any kind of code. It will be just more general discussion, and also I will discuss about the resources I have used when learning these languages. I'm still learning. Maybe there will be more resource added in my list. I have been coding in Python for a while, and I do mostly data analysis in Python. Also, that's like it's part of my job. But also, I get into building web services for machine learning applications, and I start also learning then Flask and other frameworks, and then I find it already like a lot of people claim that servers written in Go or some other languages are much faster than Python. So that's another reason I start to look for Go. So my main actually priority was to learn Go to replace the Python backed web server with Go. And then I started to look for like some conference videos in YouTube and also podcast. And I came into one podcast where they actually discuss about all these three languages, how they are going to change the future of programming, like Go, Rust, and Julia. And then I decide, okay, why not? Let's try all these three languages and see which one I like. So that's how I started learning. So first I picked Julia, then also because though my goal was to start with Go, but I picked Julia because it was more easy from my background. For like I was doing data analysis for a while, so Julia is really good for these kind of things, and that's why I just picked up, and it was really easy for me to start with. And also in that way, I start Go, and last 2 3 months I'm learning Rust. To learn Julia, I used first one book called Julia Programming Project, and that is really good for beginners. And that book has mostly all kind of like type system stuff, then also like a dictionary, like other like composite types, dictionaries, arrays, and also the best practices. Then it has a part which is in the middle, which is web development part, and probably if you are doing data analysis, you don't need that. I found the reason is because the writer of the book, Adrian, he is also the creator of MVC framework Genie, which is written in Julia. That's why probably he added web development part in that book. Also, a lot of things are out of date in that book. The data frame part, the query.jl, and package development part is out of date. But it's really good for beginners. The first few, like 3 4 chapters, and the date time part of that book is really nice. Then I read another book which is called Julia High Performance. Uh, that is not my kind of book. It is like more general discussion and optimization thing, but the examples are not like real life oriented. Then I picked another book which is called Design Pattern and Best Practice with Julia, and that is, I think, one of the best book available on software development in Julia. So that book is not like data analysis or some specific domain based. It's like more on the how you can design software in Julia. I really enjoyed that book. That book covers like all the advanced stuff and the also basic stuff in Julia. It talks about macros and interfaces, traits, different design patterns, and also the piracy patterns you shouldn't use in your software. Also, in the way it will show you some good optimization technique, and also if you want to use parallel processing, how you can do. But the parallel processing in that book is not very elaborate, so probably you need some other resource. Though I haven't found any good resource for parallel processing on Julia so far. These are the books for Julia. If I have to pick, like for beginners, the programming project will be the top pick. And after you finish that, if you're interested more, then I think for software development, that book is really good. But also I have checked Think Like a Computer Science, the Julia series, but I didn't quite enjoy that, and I haven't read that whole. But also there is another good book which is called Algorithm for Optimization, but that's for numerical optimization. I have read a little bit of that book. I have a plan to read that book also. For Go, it was interesting. I started with a Go in action, but I think that was a mistake because that book is not for beginners, and like it was just like slap in the face. So I start to look for some online resource. I find good web development resource in Udemy, which is written by Todd McLeod, and he does really good job, and also that course has really good ratings. And after I took that web development course, then it was really nice, like everything was clear on that book. So but that book is really good. But in that way I also have purchased that Head First Go, which is like really simple and easy. Any of Head First Go is really easy, and I really enjoyed that book. It's really simple, and it covers a lot about like error handling and basics and interfaces, all the basic stuff. And that book is like more into how Go thinks the numbers and arrays and all of this. So if you want to be really like good Go developer, like want to have really deep knowledge, then Go in Action is a really good book. And also for web development, I'm reading another book which is called Let's Go, but suddenly I found out, and actually I think that's a great book for web development, and I'm still learning that book, and I really enjoyed that book. For Rust, I have picked up the official book, and I'm studying now. I'm at the 9th chapter, and I have a plan to finish that in 3-4 months, I guess, because I have a lot of other things to do, and I am not quite sure that in soon I will be able to finish that or not. So I have put together a list I would like to discuss so that I don't forget, because there is a lot of features to discuss about. So I will pick one by one and discuss about that. So the first in my list is object orientation. So these three languages, none of them are object oriented. They're like hybrid between functional programming and object. So there is objects, but it's not object oriented. You will define your struct for instead of object, and then you can define methods on your struct for Rust and Go, because Julia has multiple dispatch, so you don't need to attach your methods into a struct. Rather, you will annotate that in your function, and your function will be selected based on the types annotated. So there's few differences also, but not being object oriented, it has similarities in the languages. When you are doing really large scale software, you will create your own type, like the structures, which is called struct in all these three languages. And also you will use interface and traits and all these three language. Go has interfaces, that concept. Rust has traits, and Julia support also interface and trait, but it doesn't have any keyword, which I don't like. I think Julia should add some keyword for interface and trait definitions. Concurrency. So all these three languages, concurrency is built in, but Rust at the beginning didn't have multi-threaded concurrency. So now I think it has, but Go from the beginning, Go has multi-threaded built into the language. So Go is really good and productive language because it's really easy to write. And if I have to choose, then if I think about the easiness, then Go is top in the list. Then compiler, Go use I think GCC and for compiling the code, and Julia and Rust use LLVM. Also for package management, Go has really weird package management. A lot of people doesn't like it. And for Julia, it has PKG as a package manager, and Rust has cargo. I really like cargo and also the PKG, and that's kind of a weird package management for in Go. Like it's not like I don't like it, but it's something different than the others. And about the higher order functions, so Julia and Rust provide higher order functions, like a kind of like functional programming like, but Go doesn't provide that. But the Go is more on the side of simplicity. So if I say the best thing about Go is probably there is most of the time there is only one way to do something in Go. But in case of Rust and Julia, you will have different ways to do. One is optimized than the others. So the like beginner developer tend to do more mistakes on this kind of stuff. But Go is very productive and it's like very straightforward. So whatever someone is doing, that is the way. And if it's like I'm talking about like general like recursion and this kind of things. But if you really do something design mistake, then it's your mistake. But in general, when you are doing recursion or looping or this kind of things, there is only one way to do things in Go. Garbage collector, Julia has, Go has, but Rust doesn't have. And that makes Rust design totally different than the other two languages. And it's kind of difficult. So if I have to rank about easiness, Go is in the first, then Julia, and then Rust. For Rust, like you really need to know the borrowing and ownership model, and there's a lot other rules, scope of the variable, and how long it stay, when you share the memory, when you not, and this kind of stuff. Julia in function, most of the cases it passed by reference, and Go in the function it's passed by value. So if you want to mutate your any kind of structure, then you have to pass the reference, or we can call it like pointers. So you have to pass the pointer in the function to replace the value. And for Rust it's totally different. You have to understand ownership model for Rust. And I think that's all in my list. Yes, so that's all in my list. Oh, one thing I missed is about the concurrency, how you achieve that. Go, it's pretty simple. If you don't think about weight groups and other things, only thing you need to know Go channels and Go routines. You're good to go, and you are good to go with the design and everything. So the main thing after you learn the general stuff, the more other things you need to learn for Go is the interfaces, the Go routines, the channels. Then and also error handling is different in Go. A lot of people doesn't like the way it does. So these are the extra things you will learn, and you are good to go with Go. For Julia and also Rust, there's like a lot of other things you can learn: higher order functions, lambda functions, kind of. And then also you can learn macros. You can make your code more optimized using macros, more like not optimized, like more manageable. And also you can use traits and other things to make your code much better. So that's all about the features. So if I have to pick or rank the languages, I will put Go. It's like the easy to learn, then Julia, and then Rust. So what's next? My plan this year is to learn better Go and Julia, and also have a look on the Rust. But I think I'm going to keep two of in between two. So Julia has no replacement, so I will keep learning Julia. But from Go and Rust, probably I will choose one of them. And actually, I don't need really low-level coding, so I won't learn Rust, I guess. But I will finish that book because I didn't study computer science. I studied mathematics and statistics, and I'm learning a lot about heap stack, then shallow copy, deep copy, and more memory structure, when how program use the memory. But also I had a plan to learn something in the front end, but I don't like JavaScript. So what I did, I was searching for other stuff, and I found Elm. There is another like a competitor of that called ReasonML, but I think Elm is more used than the others. So that's a pure functional programming, and I never did any pure functional programming. So I also want to check like how difficult or easy it is to write pure functional programming. So that's my goal for 2021, and I will see you in other videos. Bye bye.